Hey, how's it going? It's Tim Brown, and this is the Hook Better Leads podcast. And today I've got Zachiary Kuper from S&K Construction and Remodeling. How you doing, sir?
Good. How about you today, Tim?
I'm doing very well. We're talking about advanced DIY roofing SEO tips. And Zachiary is uniquely qualified to talk about this because his site has the highest domain rating that I've ever seen on a roofing website. And I want to note for a second that if you comment your website below, I will let you know what your domain rating is in the comments. So comment below, say your URL, and we'll tell you your domain rating. But how high is your domain rating, brother?
We're currently at a 60 right now.
60. And by the way, guys, that's good. And I'm not saying that you're bad if you're like a 3 or whatever. It's just you're early. And it does take getting more and more links over time. And it takes years. How long have you been working on your SEO for, Zachiary?
Personally, about a year, but my website's probably like 3-4 years old now, you know?
And you probably had you said you had some SEO companies that were getting some links and stuff like that. So
yeah, yep, absolutely.
But we're going to talk about advanced stuff. So if you're used to the basics, like you need to do meta titles and descriptions and do keyword research. We're not going to talk about that stuff. That's for another show. We have a from scratch, it's home services DIY, but it works for roofing SEO course. If you just go to hookagency.com/DIY, and it's totally free. And we talk like all the way from scratch for like building a basic WordPress website all the way to like advanced linking techniques. But today we're just going to kind of nerd out for people that are like into this type of stuff. And before we jumped on this podcast, we were talking about getting old domains. And that was one of mine, getting old domains and redirecting them to a resource on your website that have links from other high level things. What would you say was like one of the things that really helped your site take off? Like what did you get into that got you to 60 DR?
Does your company want to build your brand and get more jobs in the neighborhoods you're currently working in?
The Brick by Brick playbook allows you to establish your brand, your reputation, and gain trust in any neighborhood in your service area with a series of 4 postcards sent once a week to the neighbors of your current jobs. If you want to get more work in the neighborhoods you're currently working in, get with the team at Dope Marketing and get your Brick by Brick playbook set up today.
A lot of blogs, a lot of research.
Yeah.
I guess one benefit is when you're in the field a lot. For example, we had a customer, his chimney kept leaking, right? And we put it on, we put the flashing on, it was done right. Well, he had like a high efficiency furnace, right? So he didn't have a chimney liner, so it was literally sweating and leaking inside. So it was kind of nice, too, to be able to, help other roofers and stuff, too, because it was just a weird scenario, right? So that also having, when you're out in the field and you actually kind of have the side of it, of the knowledge of the product, it kind of helps you right on it, too, So I feel like that has an upper hand to it,
Absolutely. And we were kind of like if I look at your keywords, you've got like roof pitch stuff. What is linear feet? Kind of technical stuff. How many bundles of shingles in a square? So you're kind of thinking about what you would want, maybe even like 5, like when you were early or something like that, you're thinking about like how to, people are searching this stuff because you would have searched it, or how did you find these keywords? Like what's your keyword research strategy?
Yeah. That's a fair comment. Or like you said, or when you're selling something to these homeowners will, ask you these kind of information, especially your technical people that want to know details in and out, right? Like some people are very thorough, so you have to break it down for them so that way you can earn their trust. And it's always nice, like they can hear.
Let's just dive into one of these for a second. It's like, because I'm just curious, because this is all these different keywords that I haven't seen a lot of, like brown water leaking from ceiling. How did you get that keyword?
Just like you said, a little research, seeing it too, like also when you go in the house, if you ever notice, I mean, obviously the water's clear, but it's always a stained color on the ceiling, right? It's never actually just clear. It's always brown.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. So I like that though. So, and like you have a photo on here. Is that like from a client's house or something like that?
Yeah. Yep.
Customer's house?
Yep.
Cool.
It's from a client's house. Yeah.
You know what? This is why you're such a great example, Zachary, is like you're doing SEO just like based on your customers' needs, right? Like this is like an opportunity. And I think like people, like obviously I want people to work with Hook Agency, but there are things that I'm not always going to know to write about because I didn't walk into the house and the homeowner says, "Why is my roof leaking brown water?" Like that's obviously that is a great blog post, and like basing it on like customer pain. You know what I mean? That's what I think you're kind of doing here. So I think it's brilliant. Where did you learn about SEO? Like, what were you? What do you have a favorite YouTube channel? Who are you listening to learn this stuff?
Yeah, just a lot of it. Like you said, YouTube. I've watched you before. I always see your ads coming in. Some are funny and comical too, which makes it enlightening. I get your memes sometimes. Also, it's just kind of like when you look at other sites, you see the way they're structured. It kind of helps you. I feel like one of the biggest problems with the roofing, especially like if you're not in my state or whatever, it's not like we're truly versing one another, so it's nice. Other people have give you insight. Nothing's worse than roof on roof crime, right? That's what I always call it, especially when you're battling against another guy that's local. A lot of them, their first intuition is to knock the brand of the next person, right? And I try not to do that. So
yeah.
So it's just a lot of learning, researching, and putting my nose like old school, like into the book.
Yeah.
It's helped out a lot. Watching videos, seen a lot.
I just want to keep on. Sorry, go ahead.
A lot of your videos too. I've seen before.
Sweet. I see some things that you're doing really well. So I just want to talk about things that like may feel advanced to some people before we get into the crazy stuff, right? Like we'll talk about the redirect strategy. We'll talk about a few other things. I'm seeing like a lot of internal linking, right? So if I go to a location landing page,
right,
and you're linking off to, like if you did a roof replacement cost Paynesville, Ohio, then you're linking to the roof replacement Paynesville, Ohio page. So then you're kind of back and forth with these. It's a very topically relevant interlinking. And I think a lot of people aren't doing enough of that. So that's something that you're doing really, really well. I think most people should be doing more of that. Like how can you interlink? And then maybe not everyone is searching cost, but it is a fairly high search term. And then it's also like, to me now, this is also like we're sharing. This is also good for AI because people are asking questions to AI. And if we're the one answering all the deep, crazy questions about like costs or roof insurance claims in Paynesville, Ohio, or anything like that, the ability for them to get back to us to make the final purchase decision is going to be higher. So, and you have like some siloing going on here. You're mostly like you're linking only to the other Paynesville pages. You've got roof replacement, Paynesville, roof repair, storm damage, roof insurance claims, roof replacement costs, roof financing, commercial roofing, and winter roofing.
Correct.
And then you're linking all like only to the other pages in that silo. The only other thing I'd add here too is like you could have the Paynesville, Ohio. We're talking about silos. Like if you had the Paynesville, Ohio / roofingandconstruction.com / Paynesville, Ohio / roof insurance claims. So then it's like kind of all funneled back to that location page. And the way we do this on clients is we do it as like client.com / roofing / location. So that's the way we do it. But the amount of things you have under each location, I would maybe use that URL structure. Now, changing your URL structure can be, since we're talking about Paynesville, it can be major Paynesville. So I don't know that I would necessarily do this right now because it's a bit of a surgery and it might be a little bit of a brain surgery to do the URL structure. But that is like kind of a next level would be to do like sub-nested folders essentially.
Sub-nested folders.
And it's not that hard to do in WordPress. So yeah, I think people are probably thinking like, oh, this sounds technical. It's not really, because all you have to do is make it a child page of that other one. And it's actually really easy in the WordPress menu to make it a child page.
Yeah. I'm going to write that down.
And I think and this, because you were talking about siloing. I'm not as much, I think, Zachary, you're talking about how you're like, okay, now only link to the silo. That is, I think a lot of people really are hardcore on that. I'm not as hardcore on that. But I do think some very smart people are. So let's just leave it there. Like some very smart people are like, do not link outside of the silo in the silo.
Yeah.
Is that your belief?
I've heard two ways, like you said, your way and the other way. Some people, they say that it loses power when they link out of it and relevancy. But I've also heard of other people like you, that are a little bit more relaxed on that theory,
I would say purist on this would be to not, right? Purist would be not. And I mean, like, there's different levels, right? Like, if you want to be real hardcore about it, I understand. And I want to recommend that people maybe start there. And then if you want to relax like me, go for it. But let's see, what else is kind of crazy next level? Because you just have so many keywords, dude. It's nuts. And like, you obviously did a ton of keyword research. You obviously worked your butt off. You said you're doing at least like 20 hours a week on this?
Yeah, usually. Yeah, I try to stay on the website at least 20 hours a week, just continuously putting in hard effort at it, I'm hoping that it continues to
what is
compound.
What is your method for getting links?
Usually, like I said, an agency that I work with, that I was working with at the time, they would give me links, and I would just kind of tell them where I wanted them to go with my anchor text.
Give us the basics on this, because a lot of people are not aware of like anchor text and like even thinking about like the domain rating of the link and stuff like that. So what was your strategy since you were helping them identify stuff? What were you telling them to do? I'll give you any like recommendations I would have, but I think you've done a very good job on this.
I would take the keyword. A lot of the times too, you're going to laugh at me, but I'd go incognito on my system, and then I would just type the keyword, especially in my area, because I know who like the big dog roofers are, right? And when I would take that keyword too, a lot of the times I would see, are these big companies ranking for that word? And a lot of the times, if they had a good, strong SEO presence, if they're ranking for them words, obviously they're getting phone calls off that, right? So that's kind of what I was doing. Maybe it's a strategy that most don't use, but it was kind of working for me. It's a lot of work, but typically somebody that's put a lot of time and effort into their SEO that I've noticed, they show up for a lot of the keywords that are high dollar converting, right? So a lot of the times I would be able to see them, there they are again. And then you'd put another keyword in and they wouldn't be in there. And I was like, well, that must be not too much of an important keyword,
I think the other thing we were talking about is the location pages, right? So as you start to, I think the first thing is like, we definitely want to get traffic on this website. You've got a ton of traffic. I think as time goes on, we look at these, and in Ahrefs, which I think you thought was interesting, is you can go to, if I go to the main page on Ahrefs, ahrefs.com, you can look at your organic keywords, and then you can go to intents, 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 and then you can go down and there's a spot called location, and you can put local. And then we can look at what are the local keywords that we're ranking for. And when if you've got these location landing pages, because we're doing like the advanced stuff. So you've already got I'm assuming you've already got these location pages for all of your key services, which Zachary does because he's a hardworking person who takes SEO seriously on his roofing website. So he has all this list of all these people. I'm just going to, for the people that are like watching, I'm going to actually show this. All these locations, right? And this is just all of his locations with all the services. But then we want to find the ones that have a good amount of volume and a position that is like from striking distance. So you're looking for the ones that are on page 1 and 2, but maybe they're not at the top of page 1. And then we want to earn links to these. So like even Roofing Companies Cleveland, it has 250 searches and we're 27th. That's possibly striking distance. So I would, especially because of the amount of people that probably search that, right?
Right.
Cleveland commercial roofing, you're at 29. We found another keyword that I gave you a link to. And I'm trying to figure out what that one was. But it was like, it had a lower keyword volume, but ultimately it was like, 9 or something like that. I think Walton Hills, or it was a 7. So it's like, even though there's only 30 people searching it according to Ahrefs, we know that people in, Walton Hills are probably going to spend money on roofs. So it doesn't, like, sometimes these keyword volumes at these lower levels are not always accurate. You know what I mean? That's the way I look at it. And it's like, if and I know that there's homeowners searching for roofing, and it's like, if you're ranking for roofing Walton Hills, a lot of times, I'm not saying all the time, but you're also going to rank for things like roofing contractor and roofer near me in Walton Hills. You know what I mean? Because this tool doesn't do that, but I use something called WhiteSpark Local Rank Tracker, and our team does for all the local rankings. Have you checked that out yet, Zachary?
No, I haven't. I'm going to write that down.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one. It basically gives you it would be like roofing contractor, but it's like searches from Walton Hills. So it kind of gives you those more generic keywords that people actually use, but where you're ranking for that.
Wow. I appreciate that.
WhiteSpark Local Rank Tracker. It's really cool. Highly recommend. And then you can see that graph going up, and that graph from my point of view versus Ahrefs is actually more likely to relate to money. Do you know what I mean? Because we don't just want to rank for keywords and get links for stuff that's just going to get us traffic. Obviously, to me, that WhiteSpark Local Rank Tracker is way more likely to correlate to money from this stuff.
So you would essentially, whatever keyword you seen that was a low grabbing fruit, link your anchor text with that to the link, right? That's how you would handle that?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Sorry, can you say that one more time?
So you would take a low grabbing fruit, like you said, roofing Walton Hills, and link that through an anchor text to a backlink, essentially.
Yes, exactly. And I would possibly, so one thing I do think, you said, hey, Tim, you've done SEO for 50 plus roofers or whatever, you might know some stuff. The thing that I did early that I would, a mistake I made was over optimizing anchor text.
Too many.
So the same one. So one safe bet is the brand name. So I would link with the words S&K Construction Remodeling to that Walton Hills page. And that kind of softens the other links, but it also still sends a signal that this is important. And I think that ratio of anchor text. Have you looked into anchor text ratio? I don't want to speak down to you, Zachary. I feel like you know a lot.
Too much. That would
what the optimal anchor text ratio is.
I would assume 5 to 10%.
Yeah, I would say the exact match keyword. If I'm trying to rank for Walton Hills roofing, then I would probably want to make that 5% or less. And probably the best link or one of the better links, right?
Right.
And by the way, that one, honestly, the one that we got you is probably you probably don't need more. And if you do one more, Zachary's I'm excited. I want to go buy a link right now. I like Authority Builders is a good one. There's a few other ones, but I think it's hard to endorse any backlink companies because I would never sit there for too long and use the same backlink provider. And the two things I get are guest posts and link inserts. Have you done link inserts, Zachary?
No, I have not. No,
okay, So link inserts is kind of what we just did, right? Because we're on your site for my roofing company, and we went to a page. We found a page that's ranking pretty high, and we put the link on that because it's like a seasoned page that's been around for a while, and that's what a link insert is. So like you can get link inserts from any of these backlink providers, and like honestly, I feel like it should be more like half and half guest posts and link inserts, which is like putting links on old blogs.
Makes sense.
So I think that's even an advanced thing for a lot of people, is like doing a blend of link inserts and guest posts. And then definitely don't just sit there and link with the keyword. I think that can be dangerous. And focusing on the location pages, especially after you're cranking for traffic. And then in addition to getting links, like let's say we did one link insert for Walton Hills. Maybe you do one more that's brand. So it's like kind of pillowed a little bit, right? You go get a guest post or a link insert with the brand as the anchor text. And then the other one would just be to increase the content on that page. So like, could we find something else that we could add to that page to make it more comprehensive?
Join us January 5th through the 7th at Oklahoma City Convention Center for RoofCon 2026. It's going to be amazing. I hear there's somebody special that's going to be keynoting there. I'm going to be speaking. It's going to be really, really fun. And the best part is not even the speakers at events like this. Bringing the roofing industry together, talking about all the most cutting edge technologies and new methods, the best people in the industry sharing great information, as well as having community. That's what it's all about, having community and creating relationships. So join us. That's January 5th through the 7th at Oklahoma City Convention Center.
Makes sense. Yeah. Keep the penguins away.
Yep. And then why keep the penguins away? What is it?
The search engine ranking position, right? The SERPs.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you update the date it was published. So right. You can, you add a little bit of content and you update the date it was published. And I go back and I always update about like the top 20 posts for our website every single year, because they're kind of responsible. It's like out of respect, we give them the 2026 update, right? Like, thank you for your service. Let's make you a little bit better and help our site a little bit more. And honestly, that's a big opportunity for people. I think once they publish something, it's just gone forever and they don't do anything. Something else you could do, Zachary, this is really cool.
Yeah.
Right now. So that blog post I gave you like a diagram of common leak points, right? That was ChatGPT. You know what I mean? I know you're not that surprised by it, but I'm saying like 2 months ago, those graphics were way worse than that. And in the last month, and I added like the S and K logo in Photoshop afterwards, but you can make diagrams, graphs, and statistics like things. You just got to make sure they're accurate. You got to check their accuracy because sometimes ChatGPT hallucinates. But I think the ability to make these graphics now and add those to pages is a big opportunity. So if you were updating the top 20 blog posts and getting a link, or top 20 pages or whatever, that would be, in addition to adding content, maybe we add a diagram that's helpful to people that are searching that subject.
Yeah, that's very insightful. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And then honestly, for people that are super early, this is like maybe not as useful for you, or, it's still useful in a different way, but like image search is a lot easier to get into. Like if you have good images, and like I always name images with the keywords in them. So if that was like, I would do, you probably saw it if you downloaded it from Messenger. It said like common -leak -points -in or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I generally name images that way so that Google can read them and what they are. And that's an advantage. And then always give a very descriptive alt text, right? That's not an advanced tip, but like just a reminder for those of you, like it's the basics done consistently from my point of view that really give you the most. Like you can tell that, right, Zachary? Because you didn't go to school for this or anything, but you've been hammering the basics consistently for a long time.
Correct. Yeah, it's just the fundamentals that have really shown up and worked for me, and staying consistent.
Yeah. And that the amount of, your domain rating is a 60. Ahrefs is saying you're ranking for 2,300 keywords, and the graph is just straight up. People got a little concerned, and if I was doing, we got concerned, but if I was doing SEO on my own, I would have gotten concerned about like Ahrefs recently dropped keyword like pages 3 through 10. So now we can only see our ranking on pages 2 and 3. And it does suck.
I noticed that. Yeah. Everybody in the middle of the summer had a huge drop on their keywords. Is that why?
Yeah. But that's why, because they stopped tracking it. Basically Google took away the separate URLs for pages 3 through 10 or something. Like it basically like they made it so keyword trackers were unable to do this. And so all of them lost this, and it made Ahrefs way less useful, but it's still, I think the good way to look at it is just get rid of, here, let me share my screen here for 1 second. Once you get over the fact that it's not like your rankings dropped, it's just the tracker can't track. So instead of looking at it with this terribly concerning, like, oh no, where'd all my keywords go? I get rid of pages like 51 plus and 2150. So then it's like we can see the real trajectory, which is like this. So like you're ranking for 1,443 keywords on the pages 1 and 2, which is enormous. And the only thing I'm going to say to you, Zach, any other like big strategies, or do you mind if I keep consulting with you a little? Like what else did you do? Tell me anything else.
Yeah, no, I mean, you've been hitting a lot of it, so a lot of it you kind of already have in line with my visions. I just, I guess one benefit is when I have time to hammer it all on my own, like you said, I can produce large volumes of blogs and etc. And I just make sure that they're written correctly. And obviously I have learned quite a bit even on this conversation with you, which I appreciate. So I got a lot more things to put into my toolbox now,
Automate your communication with Proline, the only communication-first CRM for roofers. Because when you fix your communication, you'll sell more jobs.
We had 200% growth, and I attribute that to Proline.
But just with one automation, I was able to get 25 Google reviews.
Proline's not going to win the beauty pageant, but it will save your Saturday.
And like once you get the blog, like you've got the blogging thing down, which I think is a really good place to start. And I think hammering those location pages is my biggest recommendation for you. Not getting too focused on the blogs only, going back to the location pages, filtering by local intent, and like double down on the keywords that are close. That's what I would do. And then, like I said, on a linking version, like I do think 2 fairly easy things to do are like join a chamber of commerce in your area, and then look for other like, because it's like $500 a year and it's a great backlink. And I know that people are like, oh, $500 a year, that's crazy. But like, you'll pay $20,000 a month for ads, right? Like this, if you really trust that links and content are what makes the needle move, then it's okay if you pay for some of it. And then the other one is the roofershelper.com. And that one's local. And I think it's just representative. Any other local directories that are like kind of unusual and in your area, because there might be like, hey, this side of the city has this website that only you will know, your SEO company might not know about it. Then join that directory. You know what I mean? And then the other one being the Roofer's Helper, it's kind of representative of if there are any other niche directories for roofing. Roofer's Helper is a good one to kind of give an example. Look for those types of things, or like construction niche stuff, because location and niche, those links are going to matter more than just even the amount of domain rating or the amount of even traffic, because it's really about like how similar of a thing is this, then it's going to be more powerful. It's that stickiness.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, stay within your whatever you're doing to make sure you have something that's related, right, to what you're offering, you know?
Yeah. And then, oh man, I've teased the thing at the beginning of like, I think of it like hooking up old car batteries to your website. And I think it's a little dangerous. So we don't sit here doing this for clients all the time. But if you have a higher risk tolerance, you can go find like old expired domains. An example provider is sirlinksalot.com, and they have a whole list of like expired domains, and you can find them and you can look for the ones in the construction or in your city. So I like searched a bunch, like with this new roofing company, I searched for a bunch of like the cities in my area. I was looking for old ones related to the city or the area. And then I was also looking for ones that were in construction that had really good links. So you can get links from like CNN.com and, New York Times and Wikipedia kind of quick. Like I said, it is a little dangerous. So I have to like really caveat that one and flag it. Like if you have a high risk tolerance, this is a way to get your DR up quick. Now, Zachary, I don't think I'd recommend that for you. Just because you already have your thing's already fully charged. You know what I mean? You're not starting from scratch. You're starting from a fairly like authoritative place on the website. So you don't need to really get your DR up. And this is kind of a DR or like a authority hack.
Makes sense.
But I had to share it because I teased it at the beginning. But you're focused on the Google business profile. What are you doing on your Google business profile to rank higher there?
Usually quality photos uploaded, reviews. I'm real big on that. You know, we try to get them as many as possible. And, you know, I think that really helps, you know, just moving the needle, like reviews, right?
Yeah.
And obviously photos help too. You know, at least from when I was researched, I don't know for sure, but I figured I'd ask you because they have like geotagging inside the photo, right? So a lot of the times.
Yeah, that one's. So I think people oversell that a little bit.
With the geotagging? You think so? Huh?
Yeah, from all the tests I've heard, there's not that are from somebody that's not selling that as a service, because I feel like there's some people that kind of over popularize that because they sell that as a service. From everything I understand, photos now they help. You know what I mean? And posts on Google Business Profile do help. From what I understand. But from what I understand, the geo coordinates of the photo don't really actually because if you look in the code on the back end, like if you look at the photo, can you like inspect source? Is the geo coordinates being presented on the front end or is it not? And I think it gets stripped from what I understand. And I think that's, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But from what I understand, it's not a real. I realize because like people will attack me for that because there's another one too that like a lot of people swear by, which is what is it? Getting like an auto clicker, like people clicking your result. I'm trying to remember what it's called. CTR manipulation. And that's another one where I've tested it, but I don't like. There's a lot more credible people saying it does work. So the CTR manipulation, once again, it's like an advanced thing, but I haven't seen it work really that well.
Yeah.
So I've just kind of stayed away from it because it feels a little bit black hat / maybe it hurts. It's something to look into though. Like if people are like really looking for more crazy stuff, like that CTR manipulation is interesting. And it might be worth like experimenting with. But once again, I have to say that with like a big caveat. It's like could be dangerous, like high risk tolerance people only. I hate to land on that one because I don't necessarily believe in it. I know a lot of people do though, so I feel like I'm trying to cover this topic comprehensively.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, you don't want to get your site penalized,
Yeah,
be very.
but yeah, I mean, in this day and age, going hard on your Google business profile is the ultimate hack, and maybe adding additional locations on Google business profile if you're willing to get them up to 30 reviews. That's to me let's land on that one.
Right.
Additional Google business profiles in different locations. I would say at least for 100,000 people, maybe for 500,000 people in a different side of the city where you can get it up to 30 reviews. As long as you're willing to do that, I think it's worth a desk at some place. I think keeping that office location is smart as not to get penalized, but, or like ultimately you don't want to be too crazy with that, like doing it at fake stuff, because like you can get your Google, your stuff taken down, right? Like, so you got to be careful about these things. You got to kind of like make them real. They have to be real. If they're not real, you could hurt yourself. So we get all the way to the end of this podcast and I give you all the most dangerous things so that you could possibly hurt yourself with. Enjoy.
Thank you.
SEO is fun though, right?
Oh, absolutely. Especially when it finally starts getting you some results, that's at first it's a little slow. So sometimes you have a little question, is it really working? And then when it finally does, it's exciting, especially if you're leads.
Yeah, exactly. I'm proud of you, dude.
Thank you, man.
Yeah. I'm proud of you. You did the work. You worked your butt off and it's showing up. And like half of it is keep on going when you don't see the result. Cause you understand, you see enough result that you're like, I could see how this could end up being good and paying me money. You know what I mean? And then sticking with it is the hardest part. I think a lot of people like do not stick with it. So
yeah,
you did it, yeah, you did it right. Zachary, where should people go to check you out?
They can check me out on Facebook. I'm on there, or that's probably the best plat. Usually I'm pretty responsive.
Or click, cities on northeastern Oklahoma Google results pages for his click-through rate, so that we can CTR manipulate this together. No, but skroofingandconstruction.com. Check it out. Check out his site. Just a great example of how to do this right. And podcast is put on by hookagency.com. Hook Agency all over social media. Thank you guys for joining us. Sorry if I preached a bit, Zachary. I was just, I'm anxious to be useful to you because I'm proud of you.
Yeah, thank you, man. It was very insightful.
All right. See you guys.
They're so thorough with every detail of the website. Working with Hook, the design is probably 50x better than any other design I've ever had. Their team is super communicative, and I mean this genuinely. I'm happy to pay you guys to work with us. It's been a tremendous experience.